Peace be with you. Dear friends, welcome to Living Flame Sunday Gospel Reflections. Gospel for Palm Sunday, taken from Mark chapter 14, verse 1 to chapter 15, verse 47. Now, Palm Sunday is a very important step towards the Holy Week as Jesus begins his journey of the cross. Palm Sunday is Jesus Christ fulfilling what God the Father wanted accomplished. Jesus goes to Jerusalem. He spent most of his time in Galilee, but St. John's Gospel says that he went to Jerusalem very often. And now we know that in John's Gospel we find Jesus clears the temple. And later there is the betrayal by one of his disciples. His last supper with his disciples, gives his life on the cross, experienced the resurrection power of God the Father that changed mankind forever. That is Holy Week. That is Jesus Christ road to the cross. The triumphant entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, as David and Solomon had their triumphant entry into Jerusalem. The great King David, who was riding on a colt. It is said that David had a royal donkey. Riding on the colt that symbolizes humility rather than power, fulfilling prophecy of Zechariah. People spreading palm branches and screaming, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, Hosanna in the highest, is an expression of praise, worship for their new leader. Jesus, in fact, was their leader. He was the spiritual leader. That is why he very clearly told Pilate that his kingdom does not belong to this world, because he came from the Father to establish God's kingdom here on earth. Now we find the great moment of Jesus' passion and death, and then the resurrection. We Christians should never forget, apart from passion and death of the Lord, the triumphant resurrection of the Lord. So in this triumphant entry into Jerusalem is in some way symbolizes Jesus' triumphant coming back after the resurrection. He had to die on the cross. He had to offer the sacrifice to his Father to reconcile mankind with the Father. So that is why this is a Sunday that gives us a tremendous insight into the whole week. The Last Supper, Good Friday, the Holy Saturday, the waiting, and then the resurrection. Palm Sunday is celebrated in a way to celebrate the triumphant entry into Jerusalem. We know that Jerusalem was the center of politics, of religion, of commerce. People from all walks of life came to Jerusalem to offer their sacrifices, praises to God. And people came also to hear from other people about their political view. Of course, the Jewish people were very keen on defeating the Romans to get away from their power. But they saw in Jesus a great leader on the Palm Sunday. As he was entering with that spirit of triumph into the city, people were excited. So they thought they are going to have a new king. But then within few days, Jesus will be crucified. He has to walk a long way. Now, what do we understand by Palm Sunday in our own life? Dear friends, when we look at this Sunday, we need to understand that all of us are called to participate in the very life of Jesus. Jesus' kingship is our kingship too. Whatever Jesus suffers, one day we need to suffer too. The triumph of the cross and triumph of the resurrection is going to be our triumph too. We are going to participate in the very life of Jesus. That is why Palm Sunday is so important for us to understand the entire mystery, the Paschal mystery of Christ. We are God's people, and Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. The way of Jesus is tough, but he says that he will be there for us every step of the way. That's why Jesus said, if any of you want to be my followers, you must turn from your selfish ways, take up your cross, and follow me. He says, it is my way, not your selfish ways. Jesus said, the Son of Man must suffer terrible things and be rejected by the elders. That happened then, and it is happening now. And it will happen until Jesus returns in our lives too. We have a choice to make, not to be like the others who rejected him. The cheering stopped because Jesus knew their heart. He knew their desires, and their mouth echoed what was in their heart. We experience heartache, and the cheering stops. Therefore, dear friends, as we are celebrating this great Sunday of the Palms, when we cry aloud, Hosanna, Son of David, we must realize that we are participating in the victory of Christ. But soon, this victory will turn into tears and pain, scourges and suffering, and death on the cross. We need to prepare ourselves spiritually for all these wonderful Paschal mysteries that will lead us to the resurrection of Christ. God bless you.